Trick, I said what I said. I'd rather be famous instead.
Tonight's match is presented by Nucor. Nucor Corporation is the safest, highest quality, lowest cost, most productive, and most profitable steel and steel products company in the world. Nucor is the official sponsor of the Carolina Ascent FC. Time to meet tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Capelli. Here's the 11 for Philip Poole and Carolina.
Well, I'm excited to see Butler and Bruce pair together at the center back role, both with a lot of experience, which will allow Aguilera and Merrick to get more into the attack. Porter will hold down in that holding mid position, with Basing going a little bit higher. And then the front three of Corbin, Harding, and Parker, definitely three players that can really go at you in the 1v1.
The intrigue lies here on the other side for Lexington. 4 new faces in this starting 11, brought to you by Capelli Sport, that were not there in the fall season.
And Cavetas is the one at left back. She is a player that loves to get forward. She's really creative, joining into the attack. You've also got Nicole Vernus and Libby Moore in midfield. Libby Moore, a composed, disciplined player in that holding mid. And then you insert Doyle in up top to pair with Parsons. Doyle is a player that likes to push the line and get in behind, so I'm sure we'll see some of her speed tonight.
It'll be really interesting to see what Lexington looks like here as we get things going. Mike Dickey showed at times in the fall season a higher line of confrontation, but that was sort of, again, working with what he had then, and they completely transformed things to what they have now, trying to keep up with the transition and speed of the game that they learned from the fall season.
Well, and that's what's exciting about going into the spring, is you don't know what type of changes will come, not only personnel-wise, which we've talked about, but even just from a tactical perspective and what will work going forward.
And it's, again, new for everybody, right? This whole setup of that fall, spring aspect of things. So many new faces who have come from the college ranks now into the pro ranks. We'll talk more about that later, because one of the big ones already scored in another game. Head coach Philip Poole getting things going here for Carolina. Again, hoping to replicate more of the first 11 games and leave those last 3 games behind.
And less changes for the Carolina Ascent. So I expect to see a lot of what we did see in the fall, but it's a new start. It's that the jump start they may need to go into the spring to see if they can start just like they did in the fall.
Well, we still have a moment here. That little teaser I dropped there. Lexi Missimo scored 4 minutes into her Dallas Trinity debut, the big signing out of Texas. So that's basically what you're going to see these first couple of weeks. A lot of these big college signings who were terrific collegiately. You already mentioned Kate Doyle on top of the line now for Lexington, a player coming out of Arkansas who last year was terrific in her grad season in the SEC with double-digit goals and 6 assists. So that's a lot of the influx of talent we're going to see now from the college ranks.
Well, if you're Lexi Missimo, you've got to be happy, and I'm sure Kate Doyle's hoping she can do the same thing here this evening for Lexington.
Let's see if she can do it in a little bit shorter time. We've got 3 minutes and 59 seconds to try and beat that number of Lexi Missimo in that other game between Dallas and Tampa Bay, which, by the way, is still 1-0 Dallas. They officially started us off here in the spring slate of games in Super League, and Carolina Lexington will follow. It is Lexington in their white with green from left to right. Carolina in their orange, purple, blue from right to left on a 40-degree night with 96% humidity here in Charlotte. Go figure that one out as far as how it feels running through it. Alex Bilder, the referee, sends us on our way, and we are underway here in Charlotte. These first 15 minutes, coaches will talk about it all the time, Casey, but they feel especially crucial here, just getting back into a rhythm after having that long layoff from the fall slate to the spring slate. You really want to start off in a positive manner.
Definitely, and if you're the home team, you want to be the aggressor, and that's Carolina Ascent, what they can do here this evening. Can they put a lot of numbers forward? And if you're Lexington, they've got a lot of new players into the lineup, like we mentioned, so finding that fluidity is something that will develop throughout the game.
First ball played in. They're dangerously by Lexington. Remember, they are a team who doesn't get a ton of shots or create a ton of chances, but they were up there among the best in the league in conversion rate. So moments like that, they're trying to create more of those now.
And when you have a player like Madison Parsons, she kind of just picks off things in that 18-yard box that might not have come out from a whole lot, but they're going to want to build up more from that middle third to the attacking third.
Tonight's injury report brought to you by Novant Health. Got a few players on either side we're hoping to see out there getting ready to go in the spring slate, but we'll have to wait at least another week. Again, the big thing here for Lexington, mainly just those 4 new faces you touched on. Got them on every line. We've got Cynthia Cavetas, Libby Moore, Nicole Vernis, and Kate Doyle. See how quickly they can get involved here for Lexington.
I think what's significant about the new players for Lexington is that 2 of the midfielders of the 3 in the central area are new players, and that's where a lot of your play is going to run through. That's where they wanted to build out of that middle third.
Breaking through the middle here, Riley Parker to Mia Corbin. Corbin goes for a goal and didn't miss by much.
Shot by Mia Corbin, wide, goal kick.
And this is just a dispossession right in the middle third, and this is what aids the transition. It's Parker right there. She gets dispossessed first, then she wins it right back. Dribble penetrates, just a little slip ball against the grain into Mia Corbin's feet. And I like this from Corbin, just going for goal early on. Tries to pick out the far post, just gets it a little bit too wide.
Riley Parker, a name that was familiar in Super League, but not necessarily so for Carolina. She was one of the first big moves of the quote-unquote off-season. It's not really an off-season, right? It's that little that break between the fall and spring, coming over from Tampa Bay. Oh, look out here, and that is a nightmare start for Lexington. Pass back goes awry. It is 1-0 Carolina.
And these are the miscommunications that can happen early on in a second part of a season with the back line, with a goalkeeper. If you're the Carolina Ascent, you definitely will take it. You'll take it any way you can in the pro game. There's a lot of battling here, looking to play forward. It goes off, and it's Perez that just looks to play it back, doesn't take a look at where Skiba is, and they're not able to connect. It's that accuracy of pass, the communication, that lack of consistency early on is what leads to the goal here.
Obviously, the end result speaks for itself, but Casey, in a position like that, is more blame placed on goalkeeper or center back in a situation like that? Whose responsibility, who does the onus fall upon there?
It's definitely shared to a degree, but your goalkeeper, I think, has to communicate that they're coming out, and you can see the entire field as a goalkeeper. So it's a little bit aggressive to step that close, but you're the player on the ball, you've got to take a look as well, because there wasn't a lot of pressure on Madison Perez in that moment.
That Carolina Ascent goal presented by Food Lion, score to give me more. Well, if you're Lexington, you have to quickly erase that from memory and try to get right back at it. Team that conceded the most goals in Super League in the fall schedule. An auspicious start to their spring slate as well. Courtney Jones, veteran stabilizing player in this 11 for Lexington. Those are the voices now you're going to rely on after a start like that.
Well, what you don't want is for it to turn into anything else. So you don't have time to be real upset about it, except for the moment it took to get back to the kickoff. You've got to settle in, or it can easily become 2-0 and make it worse.
Vernis trying to help get it back for Lexington. Good work coming back by Riley Baisden defensively. Autumn weeks over to gather for Lexington. And here's Perez. Well, your first touches after a moment like that, always crucial. And it's a simple, easy pass over to Courtney Jones. Forward this time, I might add, not back. Nucor is the official steel manufacturer provider of the Carolina Ascent FC. Nucor Corporation is the safest, highest quality, lowest cost, most productive, and most profitable steel and steel products company in the world. Nucor, the official sponsor of Carolina Ascent FC. Perez lofts over the free kick. You'll notice it has started raining as well. Typical, I guess, when you say there's 96% humidity, you know the rain's coming at some point. It is a cold, wet day here in Charlotte, and 40 degrees, raining.
We were trying to figure out what that meant. How does that actually feel?
Sarah Tricoli made 5 appearances, just 2 starts in the fall for Carolina against an odd tonight in the midfield. Worked ahead to Parker. Perez had the own goal to start things off. Stalwart for Lexington in the first half of the season, 13 starts. Decided to forego her last year collegiately at Long Beach State to sign with Lexington. Merrick. Bruce.
And you can see right there that Lexington is trying to press. They're not pressing all the way up into that attacking final third, but they're still trying to bring the outside midfielders up a little bit higher, put pressure on, and try to dispossess the Carolina Ascent. And it's working so far as they have numbers in those wide channels.
One thing you might see a lot more of is that, trying to play through the lines to a player like Kate Doyle, the speed and athleticism she brings. You and I were talking before this game began. Arkansas is starting to really gain a reputation now for looking for athletes collegiately in the SEC. She fit that bill, Doyle. Something on again for Carolina. All the way across to Jill Aguilera. Aguilera looking back post and a little bit too tall. In the end,
and that ball was played over the end line.
And the Ascent are an interesting team because they like to possess the ball, but what we could see right there is they also can get out in transition. That's your left back, Aguilera, getting all the way forward, looking to get that service in. And you're talking about the partnership of Parsons and Doyle as well up top. It's going to be, I think, an end-to-end game in some ways because both teams have the ability to penetrate and break through the lines in transition.
Kick will go Lexington's way. Again, you saw it before. That long ball through, looking for Kate Doyle. Had 13 goals, 6 assists last year in her grad season at Arkansas after she had transferred from Gonzaga. Didn't really play a ton at Gonzaga, just 36 appearances over 4 years. Injuries played a big factor in that. Finally had a fully healthy season at Arkansas. Really impressed many in the conference and obviously at the pro game level too. Lexington made it a point to go out and bring her in. 23-year-old from Seattle.
And sometimes it's just a matter of fit. And when you have a player that has speed like that, even if they make runs in behind and they don't get it, the back line has to respect it. And if they drop a little bit to account for that speed, there's space in front for other players to take advantage of. So it's a great potential partnership between her and Parsons, and then even having Vernus and underneath her.
And Vernus also out of the SEC in the offseason, coming from Georgia. Shea Moyer wearing the captain's armband for Lexington. Bounced around Iceland, Israel, Turkey before coming to the U.S. and joining Lexington ahead of the fall season. Wearing the armband. 2 goals and 3 assists in her 13 starts for Moyer. There's that pressure coming in again from Lexington, and they win it in the attacking half. Trying to turn it quickly into attack here, flicked on toward Vernus. She won't get there. That's how quickly they're looking to switch from defense to offense.
Yeah, the defensive structure is really good in midfield from Lexington. They're in a diamond 4 there, and it's just very hard to play through. You can see Libby Moore just coming and stepping up and winning it right away to start the attack.
Traffic to navigate for Riley Parker, and she does. Food Lion is the official grocery partner of the Carolina Ascent FC. Through Food Lion's Score to Give More initiative, every goal scored is 1,000 meals donated to Second Harvest Food Bank of Metrolina. In the first half of the season, Food Lion and the Carolina Ascent have already donated 14,000 meals. Food Lion, easy, fresh, affordable. Benefits of a throw-in right in front of your bench. You can take a beat if you're Jill Aguilera and get a word from Philip Poole. Back to McClelland. Hasn't had anything to do just quite yet. Feeds it to Merrick. And the build begins again for Carolina.
I think that's a good decision there just to keep the ball. Lexington really hasn't enjoyed much of possession so far, so just keeping it and letting numbers get forward could really help them in going into the attacking third.
Vicky Bruce sends it long. Jill Aguilera really brought a level of stability, Aguilera, to Carolina in the first half of the season. Her NWSL background, her national team background, started every game for Puerto Rico at the Gold Cup last year.
And that's a dream player to have because she likes to be in a more advanced position. She has played up in the wing, especially early on in the season. And so you put her into the back line, you know she's naturally going to get forward. And so that just allows them to be able to create overloads in the final third in that wide area. Really good for the way they want to attack.
We just saw Cynthia Cavetas there on the Lexington side. You can say the same really about both
100%.
left backs in this game. Cavetas just came in the season break there for Lexington, the 18-year-old from Colombia. 24 caps at the U20 level for Colombia. She's about to get her look at the senior level, so an exciting player that they brought in as well. Perez goes back to goal this time, and this time it works out okay. Take a breath.
It's still a little scary at times. You really don't want to play inside the frame of goal because something just can happen. So I'm sure she's a little bit nervous there, but she's really settled in a little bit more. And she's actually a player that's known for her distribution. So that's just something that happens that doesn't happen a whole lot with her.
Up to Doyle, look to be offside. Flag stays down for now, and it's gathered by McClellan, so they'll just keep it down. Did see an acknowledgement there, though, from referee Alex Billiter to the assistant referee, so the offside was noted.
And this is where the Ascent are having a little bit of trouble. They have 5 players that Lexington are putting high and build out. It makes it very hard for Carolina. So they're going to have to find a way to bypass that, maybe on the sides of Libby Moore, who's the holding mid of Lexington, to try to get out of their defensive third.
I haven't talked much yet about Libby Moore, but the discipline she plays with in the midfield and the stability, composure she brings, that is going to be vital for Lexington as they try to stabilize. Again, led the league in a category you don't want to. Most goals conceded in the fall slate. They feel that having Libby Moore in front of that back line is going to help things. And of course, you agree, she's a former Tar Heel, so that's something that's going to perk your ears up.
Definitely, definitely. I'm definitely a fan of that. She is a player that's very smart there in midfield, and she can also provide a lot in the attack, not just defensively, but being an option for those backs to play out and try to establish a little more possession for Lexington.
Well, not just you, our director, a former Tar Heel tonight too, so Tar Heels all around. Butler springs Aguilera. Aguilera looking centrally, gave it away. Recovered by Carolina for the time being. Battle ensues. Parsons a little bit too physical, whistled for it. Haven't called her name yet. Highlighted her in the open that this is a player who maybe didn't have a ton of support in the fall season, but still managed 5 goals and 5 assists. She's going to benefit from the extra players they've brought around her now.
She absolutely should, and she's not a player necessarily that was really in the run of play a whole lot in the fall. Yes, she obviously could do well in hold-up play, but she's a player that really found spaces in the penalty box. She understands where to be, how to anticipate, and being optimistic, and that's why she was rewarded a lot with those goals in the fall.
And one thing that you're envisioning if you're Mike Dickey, that hold-up play now means playing it off the shoulder to a darting player like Kate Doyle and her speed. So you put that speed around a good hold-up player like Parsons, and good things can happen if you get the ball to her more in the run of play, as you mentioned.
Yes, and they've just started playing together, right, with the first game here, but also in this preseason for the spring. So that partnership still needs to develop. But you're right, as she pulls away in a certain area, Doyle's going to be looking to run beyond.
In, lost it. Just behind Parsons, all the way down to McClellan. Fires it right back out there to Merrick. Chicoli brought down. Be a part of the climb with our prorated season tickets. With 6 home games left, you can join us live for as little as $12 per game. Visit CarolinaAscent.com/tickets to support women's professional soccer in the Carolinas. Doyle had it deflected. Mia Corbin playing it through. Flag stays down. Foot race here, but it's going to be Bridget Skiba winning that in the end ahead of Aubrey Harding. Sheba made 5 starts in the fall season. 8 goals allowed, save percentage north of 70. 1 clean sheet in her 5 starts. 25-year-old, played collegiately at Oregon State. Spent a couple of years in Denmark before coming over to Lexington last season. Just playing the midfield to win it by Claire Winters. She felt she was fouled. Alex Billiter saw it differently.
And right now, we're just seeing a lot of play in the middle third. You almost kind of get the sense that whoever can break down the other team's pressing shape is going to have more success, because there's a lot of turnovers in the middle third. Carolina Ascent presses a little differently. They're in a 4-4-2 pressing as well, but it's more flat. So there's just different spaces for each of these teams to figure out. But right now, it's just not very clean on the ball in that area of the field.
Also looks like Perez and Autumn Weeks have switched here, the 2 center backs. Initially, it was Perez left center, and Weeks on the right center. They've switched. So far, just 1 shot in this matchup. It was that shot off target from Mia Corbin. Goal came on that errant pass back, the own goal 3 minutes in from Maddie Perez. Everything else pretty even statistically so far through nearly 20 minutes. Possession almost right down the middle. Either side with a shot on target. On a 1-0 lead for Carolina. Brief stoppage here. Player had some blood on the uniform, had to step off momentarily. It was Sarah Tricoli receiving the attention. Well, that's a good spot at least. Well, it depends how you look at it. You never like to skin a knee, but you could just pull the sock over it.
There you go.
Go.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Parsons looking long for Doyle. Look out. At least for Carolina's sake, that one was, like you said earlier, out of the framework of the goal when you're going to pass it back like that, so it's just a corner and not a goal.
Well, this is exactly why I like that ball in behind to Doyle. It makes the center backs have to really drop, face their own goal. You never know what you can get out of it. So to add that direct play to the possession that Lexington is trying to play with, it makes it a little bit more unpredictable of how they'll get into the final third.
First set piece now for Lexington. Perez will venture up to take it. Had 5 assists in the fall portion of the season. You noted how dangerous Maddie Parsons can be on these set pieces. Maddie Perez for the penalty spot, knotted down, but toward goal, loose in front. Save made by McClellan, denying Parsons. Atlanta trying to break out the other way. That close to equalizing for Lexington off of the poor clearance effort by Carolina.
Well, that's exactly what Madison Parsons can do. Everyone kind of goes to sleep after that initial challenge. She's just watching and lurking in the penalty box, and she's the first one to react to it, but McClellan comes up extremely big and makes an important save.
We touched on it early on that this is a team in Lexington that doesn't take a ton of shots, but their conversion rate's really high. Their first good look right there from in close and very well could have been 1-1, but still through 20 minutes, that was only their first look. So that's the double-edged sword of this Lexington team. For as many goals as they scored in the fall, they don't really take a ton of shots. So that's what you're getting. When those moments come, you almost have to convert. That's
what's really hard, because across the season, it's small little margins that make the difference, and they're not always going to bounce your way. If that is shot a little bit lower, it might go in, but she lifts it. That allows McClellan to make a save, and give credit to McClellan. It was a great save, but when you don't create as many chances, you just have to be that much more perfect in your finishing.
McClellan finally getting her opportunity to shine here in Carolina. Started every game in the fall slate at a goals against average sub-1. Save percentage near 80, 6 clean sheets for a player that bounced around 3 different NWSL rosters, just begging for a chance. Gets it here and has run with it for Carolina. Plenty of space through the middle. Riley Parker goes for a goal and it blocked. Parker trying to turn. Porter there as well. Giveaway out of the back from Lexington. Will it cost them? Took a deflection, but it's still into the hands of Skiba. That's always a danger as a goalkeeper. Even the slightest deflection there, you could be dead to rights.
Yeah, you always got to give credit to the goalkeeper for being able to read that and not give up a second chance opportunity. But Lexington's trying to find the feet of Libby Moore, but between Parker and Corbin, they are taking her out defensively, and that becomes a problem right here. It's Corbin shifting inside, the accuracy of passes off. The one-touch ball is what's so important because it doesn't allow Lexington to get on Riley Parker and put a lot of pressure on her, and she gets the opportunity.
That pressure again closing in here for Carolina. Shane Moyer helps get out of it this time. Cavetas, another giveaway right through the middle. Harding looking for Corbin. Back instead to Skiba. Perez clips it long. Parsons looking through on that long ball again for Doyle. There's a concerted effort to play that long ball through to Doyle. At some point, you imagine they're going to connect.
Well, it's just the pace of pass, a little bit of texture on it, so it's not going so straight, maybe a more diagonal ball, and she would be in.
First game of the evening has reached halftime. Dallas up 1-0 on Tampa Bay. Flag comes up here as Riley Parker looked to turn in behind. The Carolina Ascent online merch store is live. Stock up for our next match on scarves, t-shirts, hats, personalized jerseys, and more. To shop, visit carolinaascent.com, or sorry, .myshopify.com, excuse me. Rain stopped briefly, streaming back down again. I feel like sometimes players romanticize about rain games, but maybe when it's like 80, not when it's 40 degrees outside.
That's true.
And you start
rainy and cold,
yeah,
no thanks.
Not being able to feel your toes all that well, and your socks are soaked and cold. It's not fun.
The ball feels a little bit harder those days on your feet, that's for sure.
Well, kudos to the fans with the ponchos who have braved it tonight. Not the kindest weather, but it is February in Charlotte, and this is about par for the course. Courtney Jones back again for Skiba.
And the more that Lexington moves the ball around, there is more space for Libby Moore as a holding midfielder to try to get on the ball, but the Ascent are really disciplined defensively, and that's something that Mike Dickey talked about as the head coach for Lexington. They have to figure out ways to break them down, be patient. Ball retention is important in speed of play.
Just as it looked like they finally broke down that pressure of Carolina, the Ascent win it back near midfield. Space for Tricoli.
And that's a seasoned center back in Jenna Butler stepping in and winning that ball. When you know you have at least 3 defenders back, one of you can take a risk and step forward into that midfield space, because it looked like Lexington was actually going to break out and be able to penetrate through the thirds.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina is the official health insurance provider of the Carolina Ascent FC. Blue Cross NC makes health insurance easy. Discover employer, individual, family, Medicare, and Medicaid plans from Blue Cross NC. Better care starts here. Minutes remaining in this first half. Carolina up 1-0 on the own goal 3 minutes in from Maddie Perez. And in the live table, that'll take Carolina a spot higher from 4th into 3rd. Perez over to Weeks. some weeks. Only made 5 starts in the fall season. 12 appearances overall, so plenty of time. She saw a handful of starts. How long would you say it typically takes a team to start gelling with as many new faces as we see again for this Lexington side, with 4 brand new starters in the 11 that just signed during the season break?
If I had to put a number on it, I'd say at least 3 or 4 games, just because you need to see different types of opponents. Everyone defends a little bit differently. Everyone has different spaces they want to penetrate into. And so you're going to get challenged in different games. But also along the way, you start to realize, okay, what partnerships are coming together? How do I move? How does my teammate move? How do I make them successful? And that takes a little bit of time, because there's nothing like playing real games.
And that a big advantage again here for Carolina, who pretty much top to bottom, players who were here and featured prominently in the fall campaign. The exception being Riley Parker up top, coming over from Tampa Bay, but she played regularly for Tampa Bay. So familiar with the league itself.
And I think if we're looking at the half and we're not seeing the 1-0 score line, it has been pretty even overall. You had the good Madison Parsons chance. Carolina's definitely had more of the possession at times. And there's a good partnership brewing between Corbin and Parker when they press and playing off one another. But it's been pretty even across the board. And that's pretty good for being on the road so far.
Really the only genuine scoring opportunity, let alone the misplay on the pass back for the own goal. The only genuine scoring opportunity actually belonged to Lexington off of the corner. A point-blank save for Megan McClellan, denying Maddie Parsons. So if you were to just take a look at the way this first half has gone and said that one team would be up 1-0, you'd actually think it would have been Lexington.
It was definitely the clearer opportunity so far throughout this half.
Winters fouled.
And to that point about the chances, I think if you are the Lexington staff or you're the Lexington leadership on the field, as well as captains and the leaders there, you have to be thinking about that and talking about that, because you just have to play. There's so much time left in this game. So it's hard to ignore that it's 1-0, but there's plenty of time to make up for it.
Go back to when these teams played in October, Maddie Perez actually had an own goal in that game as well. Both the games these teams played in the fall slate finished as 1-1 draws. Free kick on the way here for Carolina. You know what the crowd thinks?
Pretty obvious what their opinion is, and Cabezas just puts a lot of pressure on right here. The ball goes past, and then right there at the end, just pulling down from the back. It is a hard foul, definitely going the other direction for Carolina.
Yeah, and while we were showing you the replay, you heard that applause. The crowd got what it wanted. The yellow card was shown to Cabezas. See, who said it doesn't pay to complain about calls sometimes? maybe you do have a little bit of an influence. That yellow card brought to you by Apollo Law.
A yellow card has been issued to Lexington SC's number.
Half an hour gone here in Charlotte. Glad to have you with us this evening on Peacock as we resume the USL Super League season, kicking off the fall slate here with Casey White. I'm Joe Malfa. Lone goal so far, Maddie Perez own goal 3 minutes in. Cold, rainy night here in Charlotte. 40 degrees, the kick temperature, 96% humidity. Rains came shortly thereafter and have been persistent. Free kick lumped in, but nobody in the vicinity for Carolina. Locks Lexington down there in the corner. Corbin with it. Corbin serving it, but nobody in the 18 to receive it. Pressure, though, still there from Carolina, making very, very difficult work for Lexington to again give it away.
Well, one of the things we're seeing is just the outside backs, Merrick and Aguilera, coming really high to press. And I think the reason they do that is they have two center backs in Bruce and Butler, who they're really confident in, that are organizing, sending them, and then you've got McClellan behind. So you can take that risk and really press high.
Off the long throw, cleared by Winters. Here's Vicky Bruce. Oh, good idea there, splitting it through. Tough to keep the balance, though, pirouetting around for Aubrey Harding. Vicky Bruce sees the field so well from the back line. Terrific in the distribution.
When that would have beaten two lines of pressure in a one-touch ball if that had connected, and it would have really caught Lexington off guard.
Here's Gavetas. Haven't really had a chance to see her just run down that left wing yet. And Mike Dickey just said she's a fun player to watch, very creative. They just haven't been able to get her the ball in space to create. You mentioned the outside backs for Carolina being as high as they are between Merrick and Aguilera. It's just forcing Gavetas on the left side and Jones on the right side to stay back, and it's just inhibiting their creativity.
They're definitely winning the battle of field position, if you look at it that way, of just being a little bit higher. So Gavetas hasn't been able to get on the ball. Lexington hasn't established that possession in the middle third. I think if the game continues to progress where they can find that, we'll see more of her attacking ability, potentially getting up that left wing.
Aguilera. Harding. Butler switching. Plenty of space there for Merrick. Merrick. Harding. Back to Merrick at the end line. Options in front. And it's in. Mia Corbin makes it count. It's 2-0 Carolina.
This is a goal that is really the first time it's come through the run of play where the Carolina Ascent have really been able to change the point of attack, get numbers forward. It was a very fluid attack. Merrick starting it, finding Baisden, and what I like is she continues her run, Merrick, and Baisden even urges her on, plays her into space. It's great movement from Mia Corbin on the finish. You can see her at that near post, and right at the last second, she pulls away, separates from Madison Perez, and is able to go for the finish.
And Courtney Jones had that last-ditch effort right there. Almost able to just clear it along the line and out, but it ends up in. It'll go down as a goal for Corbin there, not an own goal. Terrific effort there from Jones to even come close to trying to clear that. 4 goals now on the season for Corbin. And that is another Carolina Ascent goal presented by Food Lion. Score to give more.
A lot of things I like about that goal, but what I really liked was Baisden coming out of midfield, going into the wide space area, so it isolates with an overload in the wide space. But Mia Corbin does something that looks incredibly small, but is so pivotal, and it's that separation from a defender. You run to the near post, and at the last second when Merrick looks up, she pulls off the shoulder, and that's what makes her so wide open for that finish.
Now if you're Lexington, you just have to be careful here and make sure you don't let that change anything further here. Shoulder slump, get caught off guard, and 2 becomes 3 just like that. When things had really been going well for you outside of that own goal 3 minutes in. Harding looking through. We touched on it to that point, really. Statistically and for the eye test, it's not like there was a clear one side doing better than the other in this one. Lexington had their opportunities, probably the best scoring chance until that moment there. That just changes everything. Now you have to be careful not to let it set in mentally. You have to at least get this to the locker room if you're Lexington at 2-0.
Completely agree, and it was only those last couple of minutes that we saw Carolina start to keep the ball in the middle third. They were looking for that change of point, and they weren't really able to occupy the space that would be dangerous against Lexington, but they obviously figured it out on that goal. But for Lexington, yes, you just got to keep chipping away and making sure you keep yourself in this game, because we've seen a lot of comebacks in this before.
A lot of contact there. It'll be a free kick for Carolina. Referee says advantage, though, for now. Slip through on the turn. Carolina looking to make it 3. A sliding block in the middle by Claire Winters, denying Sarah Tricoli. Everybody stopped, seeming to think the foul was coming. Played in by Harding and cleared finally. That's exactly what we said couldn't happen. Lexington switching off there, and it very easily could have been 3.
And that's a challenge at this part of the season. It's not a full break, but you are restarting in some way. So there's those mental pieces that are important as well, especially when you've added new players. You've got to make sure you're locked in, and it takes some time sometimes to do that.
Aubrey Harding is eyeing up that switch, plays it, and cut off by Cavetas. Stop me if you heard this, though, before. One back in the middle by Carolina. They are getting to, it seems, every loose ball. Aguilera trying to split it through. I will stay down here. Porter and line. With well by Lexington. Out to Corbin. Overlap coming from Aguilera. Still plenty of bodies forward. Floated toward the back post. Was it touched by Skiba? Referees having a chat and out for a goal kick. Join the Carolina Ascent on Sunday, February 23rd against DC Power Football Club for Kids Sunday Fun Day. Lock in your seats and be one of the first people in the stadium to receive your own free Carolina Ascent limited edition kids home jersey. Visit carolinaascent.com/tickets to get yours today.
We talked about the Carolina Ascent starting to get a little bit more possession, but I think what also needs to be noted is that they're organized to win the ball back immediately as well. They're committing one outside back forward in the attack, so when they do lose it, they've already got numbers up in midfield to be able to win it back immediately.
Courtney Jones. Doyle gives it back. Here's Cavetas. First time getting into that space, looking to create, floated in, the header over the bar. That might be one of the best looks we've seen from the open run of play there for Lexington. It wouldn't have counted in the end, late offside flag on Maddie Parsons, but that was better, putting more together in the attacking third.
Getting Libby more on the ball where she can face forward, outplay in the 1v1, shake a little bit of pressure. That allowed Cavetas to get into that wide area and be able to go forward. That's where we were talking about. She'll be a bigger help if Lexington can get her higher in a more advanced position.
Select is the official matchball supplier of the USL Super League and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, the player's choice. Weeks looking long, bypassing the middle. Tricoli got a foot on it. Awkward challenge from in behind there by Riley Parker might get herself into some trouble. Alex Spiller just comes over for a quick chat.
You mentioned Tricoli. Tricoli and Porter are doing a lot of work in the center midfield for the Ascent. Yes, Harding's tucking inside as well to help, but it's a 3 against 2 essentially in there, and they're covering a lot of ground and making it hard for Lexington to build out.
Porter through, but off target. Harding gets to it, weaving through. Harding still slotting it in behind. Corbin, almost a second of the half, and now blocked out for a corner.
Well, there's just a lot of really good work from Harding out of the midfield. It almost looks like she's not going to get to each of those challenges, but she just slinks through everyone. It starts with her defending pressure. She gets 2 touches there, an extra touch, and this is a great little slip ball for Corbin. Corbin can't quite get around it. A good save from Skiba, and credit Courtney Jones for coming back, staying with the play, staying locked in, and making sure she gets something in front of that second chance opportunity.
Nice kick save by Bridget Skiba. Corner swung into the penalty spot. Loose in front, Corbin off the bar. And a handball against Carolina. We'll have it coming out the other way. That was their first corner brought to you by Nucor of the night, and it was a dangerous one in the end.
Well, Mia Corbin is certainly feeling it right now, and if they give up another goal, this could be really bad for Lexington. It's a great service, played across. It comes down, and Mia Corbin just is opportunistic. Turns, takes it one time right off the crossbar, eventually cleared out. But this is a great opportunity. Look at that take right there on the half volley, almost making it 3-0.
Cabezas. Felt like that second goal really just changed the mindset and momentum of this game. Lexington didn't really seem at all to be discouraged by the own goal 3 minutes in, but that second one, once it was put in, that's when you felt it, that it maybe set in for Lexington, and Carolina just took this game by the scruff.
Well, in a player's mind, it's definitely a bigger mountain to climb when that second goal goes in, especially a goal of that quality and that nature, because it showed that they were able to break down the defensive structure of Lexington.
And look at this, given away at the back once again. Corbin calling for it, pushed along instead to Harding, and the flag stops it. Yeah, Corbin, palm stretched to the sky. She's wondering who was off and where. I think so are we.
Absolutely. I'm not exactly sure what was going on in that moment, but nonetheless, Lexington's going to get on the ball.
It's good news for Lexington because Aubrey Harding was about to have a free release to goal, it seemed. 45 minutes come and gone. Stoppage time total will be 1 minute. Brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina. Parker Goins' goal for Tampa Bay made it 1-1 early in the second half now against Dallas. Courtney Jones trying to bring one back here for Lexington.
The fourth official has indicated a minimum of 1 minute of stoppage time. Stoppage time is presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Could be the last effort here for Lexington. And there's the whistle to end the first half. A first half that saw an awkward own goal 3 minutes in, putting Carolina up by 1. But really for 30, 35 minutes after that, Casey, it was Lexington who had the better of the chances, and it felt maybe passed more of the eye test in Carolina before the Ascent made it 2-0.
There were a couple half chances for Carolina, but you're right. The obvious opportunity came from Maddie Parsons off the corner kick, and although they were down 1-0, they kept battling, but when that second goal came, it became very...
Mia Corbin is standing by with us now. Mia, it's cold, it's raining. We want to get you to the locker room as soon as possible, but what did you see on that goal to make it 2-0?
Hi.
I mean, it's Joe and Casey in the booth. Sorry, you got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it's raining, it's cold. We want to get you out of here as soon as possible, but what did you see on that goal to make it 2-0 from your perspective?
You know, I think it was just a good build-up. We had a good transitional moment. You know, we've been working on it. And just like we did in practice, just really wanted to put that one away, you know, make it 2-0 at half. So I'm just happy I was able to do that for my team.
And Mia, it's great for your team to be up 2-0, but what's been impressive as well is your pressing and your counter-pressing. What have you liked about the defensive effort of your group?
You know, I think just going away from the break, being able to take a step back, we really, you know, looked at each other and we just wanted to work a little bit more harder for each other, really get the press down. So we've been really working hard. You know, we still have little bits of moments where we could be better on the ball, but so far so good, you know, no complaints. So just hopefully we keep that pushing in the second half.
Yeah, we see the steam coming off your head. Get to the locker room, get warm, get dry. Best of luck in the second half.
Thank you so much.
And Mia Corbin, well, she was on fire at the end of that first half. Had the goal, could have had 2 more. A 2-0 lead for Carolina over Lexington as we resume the USL Super League season here now into this spring slate. Halftime brought to you by Nucor, on its way here on Peacock.
New flavors, the same traditions. Be the guest of honor. Add more flavor to your parties. El Jimador, spiked bebidas.
Corbin in defending. Ramirez is in behind the keeper and scores!
Marley Canal is with the cross. Richardson tapped home.
Bedoya launches and tucks it into the top right-hand corner. Whoa! Say man by Alpizi.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
You're coming with me today.
I am?
Mm-hmm. Come on.
My sister loves volunteering with her coworkers.
Heads up.
I asked her why she likes it so much.
This is my little sister.
She said there's something special about helping out with Food Lion.
Yes, of course. Have a great day.
You get to make people smile.
Here to fill tables and hearts with hope. Food Lion feeds, here for every moment.
What does a better tomorrow look like? More people enjoy safer, more comfortable indoor spaces, clean water, clean air, healthy food, and a healthier planet. That's what Train Technologies believes tomorrow should look like. So we put people and the planet first. Today, we take bold action. So tomorrow, there's a better world. For everyone.
2-0 lead for Carolina at the break in tonight's match, brought to you by Nucor. Nucor Corporation is the safest, highest quality, lowest cost, and most productive and most profitable steel and steel products company in the world. Nucor, the official sponsor of the Carolina Ascent FC. And in that first half, Carolina really just got things working. As the half went along, eventually Mia Corbin would make it 2-0. We'll come back to our game in just a bit. First, a look around the league with some news and notes. The thing that really struck me was the international call-ups. 13 players in that international window here in 2025.
It's incredibly impressive to have that kind of representation at the international level. And then Tampa Bay Sun coming back from a 0-2 deficit last week with 2 second-half penalties to tie against Fort Lauderdale United. And then Addie McCain is just absolutely ripping through the league. She's in the lead for the Golden Boot race ahead of Jamona and Allie Thornton.
Carly Giamona is in that race. And this week, the Game Week crew, Anna Whitty and Marion Crowder, caught up with Carly Giamona.
A lot of new additions in the Super League who have made an instant impact on the pitch. Plus, they're going to be the reason some of these teams have success down the stretch.
Yeah, and we talked to veteran players like Carly Giamona, who tell us exactly what it's going to take to lift a trophy at the end of the season.
I'll look ahead now, the upcoming schedule brought to you by Capelli. The interesting one, I think, that sticks out for now. Obviously, it's going to change as we go through each of these results here, Casey, but Tampa Bay and Brooklyn. Tampa Bay right now is 1-1 against Dallas. Half an hour to go in that game. They're just below the line. Brooklyn, don't forget, in first place after just a terrific first half of the season.
And then two other matchups with two teams that are in the bottom of the league. Spokane needs 3 points against Dallas Trinity. That one coming up on February 22nd. And Lexington as well, going to face a tough opponent in Fort Lauderdale United.
Well, you had a few weeks off. We'll get back to the rhythms now of the USL Super League season. It is 2-0 Carolina at the half in this one, brought to you by Nucor. Everybody try to stay dry and stay warm here at the break. Second half is on the way.
Is nobody here with their Valentine? Let's see some smooching. There's some smoochers. Pay attention to that screen, folks. We want to catch your kiss on camera. Kicks the ball off center, the ball spins. When it spins, the ball drags air around it differently on one side of the ball than the other. This difference in air pressure produces more force, putting a curve on the trajectory of the ball. Carolina Ascent defender Renee Dion scored the first Olympico in USL Super League history on September 6th. Watch as she applies spin to her corner kick, bending the ball over and around the goalkeeper. A perfect example of the Magnus effect in action. Want to score more goals? Start practicing how the Magnus effect can work to your advantage on the pitch. Thanks so much for joining us for today's Science of Soccer lesson presented by Transect.
first half highlights are brought to you by Nucor, and early on, it was a nightmare to begin this game for Lexington.
This is not the way you want to start on the road. Looking to go forward was the Ascent. Perez doesn't even take a look, tries to find her goalkeeper, Skiba, and it goes right into the net for an own goal. There was really no pressure on her in this moment. Just a miscue to start the game in the first 3 minutes.
To their credit, they rebounded from that pretty well, and again, just eye test numbers. They were probably the better team for the next 35 minutes, but then this happened.
It was great build-up. Addison Merrick starts it after the change of point, continues her run, and Mia Corbin has a separation movement that goes in. Courtney Jones gives a great effort to try to clear it, not able to do it, but this was a great team goal all around from the Ascent.
And just bad luck for Lexington. Both goals actually last went in off of a Lexington player with the effort there from Jones to try and block that one. Stats are brought to you by Nucor. 8 shots to 1 possession, though, slight advantage for Lexington. Never really felt like 8 to 1 in shots. A lot of those shots came in the last 10 minutes of the half for Carolina, and that's where you really started to see them separate themselves a bit here in this first half with that 2-0 lead. And we are back in just a few moments with the start of half number 2. Rain has seemingly picked up during the break. It sent some people scattering. The temperature's still down around 40. Elements have been a factor, but it's Carolina. It doesn't really matter right now about the weather. They're up 2-0. Tonight's match is brought to you by Nucor, Capelli, Novant Health, Train Technologies, Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina, and Food Lion. Players have emerged out of the locker room back into the rain here in Charlotte. And with that, we see 2 subs on the way for Lexington. It'll be Nayoung Shin and Hannah Richardson coming on for Madison Perez and Madison Parsons, respectively. Glad to have you with us this evening here on Peacock. A 2-0 lead for Carolina Ascent over Lexington SC. With Casey White, I'm Joe Malfa. And Casey, those 2 changes right out of the gates here from Lexington show you they're trying to spark something different.
Something has to change. They have to figure out just how do they throw off the momentum of the Carolina Ascent right now. 2 personnel changes could do it. Hannah Richardson coming in up top can continue to push the pace against the back line of the Ascent. That's certainly what they're going to be hoping for.
Nayoung Shin had 14 starts, was an anchor back there in the first half of the season for Lexington, and Hannah Richardson supplied 2 goals, so maybe a spark from Richardson coming on as well. Carolina left to right in their orange, purple, and blue, and Lexington right to left in the white. And we're underway in half number 2. Madison Perez again departed with those 2 subs. Her own goal 3 minutes in got us going. Then Mia Corbin scored in the 35th minute to make it 2. It assured one thing at least. After a pair of 1-1 draws between these teams in the fall season, we're finally going to have a different scoreline between Carolina and Lexington. Doesn't mean it won't be a tie. We could be very well headed for 2-2, but at least we're not getting 1-1 again.
Well, we did see it last week with Tampa Bay coming back from a 2-0 deficit, so you just never know.
They have to be very careful here for Lexington. Right from the jump here, another near giveaway out of the back, which was their big issue in the first half. That's not something you want to see cropping up again already 50 seconds into the second half.
And one of the things you have to take into consideration are the elements. It's slick out there on the field, and that's something you do have to consider as a player. Certain balls you are used to playing, you can't necessarily play unless there is pinpoint accuracy. And I think for Lexington, these first 15 minutes are really important. They need to build their confidence in playing against the Ascent, feel like they can come back into the game. You've got to feel it, and you've got to feel like, okay, we're in this, and we can get that 1 goal and go forward. If you make a mistake like that, it could really be a downer for the entire group.
Those 2 subs at the half brought to you by Newcourt. Here's Addison Merrick. Created that second goal. Slots it inside for Baisden. There's that combination actually between Baisden and Merrick that sprung Corbin on that second goal. Look for them to continue linking up.
And what Baisden's doing is she's going on to Cavetas in the back line, so it pins her down. She can't rotate out to Merrick, so Merrick has all of that space. She's the recipient of that extra space that Baisden's creating by joining on the front line with Corbin and Parker.
There's a lot of experience there for Carolina between Merrick and Baisden, 2 players who spent a lot of time either in Europe or in NWSL, even if they weren't prominently featured when they were in NWSL, still on roster, still in the thick of it for a lengthy period of time, and you're just seeing it, those ins and outs there. Missed clearance, Baisden looking through for Corbin. Lexington fortunate that they were not on the same page there. It's Autumn Weeks with the miscue.
And now when you see the miscues happening and you see the elements, the slick surface, mishitting a ball, that just means your covering shape has to be closer. You might be used to being 4 or 5 yards away, 6 yards away. You might need to be 2 or 3 to cover in case of that happening.
Slotted through again toward Corbin. Had a chance to speak with her before the break, and she's just seeing the field so well right now. Had the goal in the 35th minute, had 2 more terrific chances thereafter, including hitting the crossbar. And again, just a couple of minutes into this second half, already finding those spaces. She's been a problem for Lexington.
She has. I like the partnership that's happening with her and Parker as well. Parker plays a little higher, and her movement off the ball is very hard to track for midfielders and defenders alike.
Carolina corner brought to you by Newcourt. Dropped in at the penalty spot. The header goes awry. Harding, though, on the volley, saved by Skiba. Nobody collapsed to her. Harding took her time, struck it sweetly toward that near post, but Skiba made the stop.
Lexington doesn't commit anybody to block this shot, and Harding has a little bit more time and space than you would think inside the penalty area. She brings it down well, goes for the half volley, but Skiba does extremely well through traffic to see this and be able to push it wide.
Next to another Newcourt corner. Short this time to Baisden. Now floated in toward the back post. Dealt with by Lexington. Richardson bringing it clear. There with Moyer. This has been the struggle, though, for Lexington, getting through this line of contention here of Carolina.
And when they have been able to do it, it has been Libby Moore on the ball in the center of midfield. But the problem is they're finding her too few and far between, and she's not able to get on it as much facing forward. This
one bent ahead toward Doyle. They made that concerted effort early on to play long and behind to Doyle. Sort of went by the wayside when they just didn't have enough of the ball in the dangerous areas. To stay up to date with the USL Super League, sign up for the Super newsletter. Get news about your favorite team and stories from around the league delivered directly to your inbox weekly. Sign up at uslsuperleague.com/newsletter. Came in very handy during the break when you had all these new faces coming in, especially from the college ranks. In uncharted territory here as far as a player allocation, for lack of a better way to put it. Previous years always having the NWSL draft this time of year, that being the way for players from the collegiate ranks to trickle up to the pro ranks. Now not only do you have 2 Division I leagues with Super League here, but you also did away with the draft. So players had their pick of the litter of where to sign, and so many bright talents chose Super League. We're seeing them on display. Saw it 4 minutes into the match earlier again. Dallas Trinity took that 1-0 lead 4 minutes in. Lexi Missimo from Texas signing and staying right there in Texas with Dallas. Getting to know a lot of those names and faces will be the name of the game, really, for these last couple of weeks of February. Nicole Vernis here, one of those faces, all-SEC player back in the fall at Georgia. He's looking for another one of those all-SEC caliber players in Doyle, ranging forward.
Well, we're seeing Lexington start to play in the 1v1 a little bit better and get out in midfield and starting to look for that ball in behind. It's just so slick out there. They're going to have to figure out the texture of the final pass. But so far, a little bit better from them, building out of the back off the dribble penetration.
I'm glad you brought that up. Every time it seems like they've gone long for Doyle, it takes that long skip and the moment's just gone. You can't necessarily coulda, woulda, shoulda your way through this sport, because that will leave you very, very irritated probably when the dust settles. But if this were a better weather game, you wonder how many of those link-ups you would have seen from Doyle.
Yeah, and that's something they're just going to have to adapt to. Okay, they've done it twice now where they've had the person in behind, but they haven't been able to connect. Now they need to take a little bit more off that ball.
Aguilera, end line, drives it in front, loose on the doorstep, and smashed over the bar by Riley Baisden. Tried to get after it quickly because the pressure was there, but did so too quickly.
This is a good run from Aguilera off the left side. This is what we get accustomed to watching her do. Get into the attack, go in the 1v1. She just separates just enough to be able to get this cross off and puts it in a dangerous area, slick surface, and just on the bounce up is when Baisden hits it. Instead of getting her foot over the ball, gets underneath it and it sails over.
Didn't really have a lot to shoot at either from that angle with Cavetas right there in front.
I like what Parker did, though, with the run across the front. It brought Cavetas a little bit further over that, even allowed Baisden to have the opportunity. I like seeing multiple runners in the box. Earlier, there weren't as many runners for the Ascent getting in there, but now you've got multiple ones going in.
Really called the name of Megan McClellan much. Just made that one big save in the first half. That is still the only shot for Lexington. Only yellow card to remember from the first half as well is Cynthia Cavetas. Now it slipped through. Flag stays down. Chance for Lexington to pull one back, but it's pushed wide. And the indication is for a goal kick as well, much to the chagrin of Hannah Richardson.
Well, the speed of play was really good in this counter-pressing situation. When Doyle is able to win this, she does it in a one-touch fashion. That's what catches the back line off guard, and Richardson goes across with her right foot. Should have been taken with the left foot with the angle the defender had on her, but I like the off-ball movement from her to join Doyle up front.
And actually, from that quick look, it looked like the referees got it right where Butler played it onto the foot of Richardson, who touched it last. Recovery there from Jenna Butler, center back. Now could it be 3-0 just as quickly the other way? And Merrick wins a corner. These are the pivotal moments of matches. It probably should have been 2-1 at the other end. Now with another new core corner coming for Carolina, can it be 3-0?
Well, it's a transitional league at times, and there's a lot of possession in the middle third, but then there's moments where they want to go and transition very quickly. We saw it with Lexington, now we're seeing it with Carolina, but the game can change very quickly if you're not locked in as a defensive unit.
Aguilera over to take the corner. Short to Baisden and back again. Baisden brings it in. Starting on the turn. Back to Baisden. Rifled off the back of the defender. Karams through again toward Baisden and cleared finally by Lexington. Baisden ends up committing the foul on the follow through, bringing down Claire Winters.
And the corner kick comes, they put 2 on it. There's just a lot of opportunities. Harding does really well to keep the ball here. Baisden gets the opportunity. It's just a mad scramble in front. This is a lot of times where goals can happen, but the foul is called on Baisden. Claire Winter really brave getting in, just a step early for the clearance.
Poole did just pick up a yellow card during that stoppage. Something that he was arguing. Picked up the yellow. Couldn't quite make out what he was arguing, though.
I'm not sure, from further away it looked a little bit closer of a challenge than what we actually were able to see, but you never know.
Lexington breaking through again. It's the sub. Richardson springing Vernus. Richardson came on at the break and has already been involved in 2 very dangerous transitional moments.
Well, she's been lively, and she got those 2 goals in the last game of the fall season, starting off really well here. I'd like to see Vernus take a more aggressive touch towards goal, but the combination of Richardson and Doyle has been good in these first 15 minutes.
Things that you're exploring now for the first time, opening up the spring slate of the season. Partnerships that you would have seen, of course, on the training ground, but on the training ground in Lexington versus a rainy, cold night here in Charlotte, 2 very different things in live play. Cavetas. Given away. Join the Carolina Ascent on Sunday, March 2nd against Fort Lauderdale United FC for Kids Sunday Fun Day number 2. Lock in your seats and be one of the first people in the stadium to receive your own free Carolina Ascent limited edition kids away jersey. Visit carolinaascent.com/tickets to get yours today. You have to complete the set there. The first Sunday Fun Day a week from tomorrow. You get the home limited edition. A week after that, the away. Here's Harding breaking away from Libby Moore. Approaching the hour mark in Charlotte. Merrick. Good combination play here for Carolina. Merrick cutting in field. Heavy touch, though.
And that's the counter pressing right there that we were talking about in the first half that was so effective for Carolina, winning the ball back immediately.
Here's Corbin. Score the second of the night for Carolina. Feeds this one in. Gobbled up by Shin and cleared. Space wide for Weeks. Winter.
And I know it took Hannah Richardson a little bit of time to realize she could go forward out of that defensive third, but I think it was a smart decision. Once they get into this middle third, they're able to possess a little bit better, get players like Cavetas a little bit higher and establish possession. It's really been building out of the back that's been the struggle for Lexington and plays into Carolina's hands.
Mike Dickey about to make 2 more changes for Lexington. Used 2 at half, using 2 more here. Being aggressive with a half an hour to go. Still needing to impact this game in some way. Down 2-0. Told it'll be Hannah White coming on for Kate Doyle as one of those changes. The other being Julie Mackin on her birthday, coming in for Cynthia Cavetas. Ernest wins a corner.
And that's more aggressive from Nicole Vernis. I like that. She had an opportunity just a few minutes ago to do the exact same thing, hesitated a little bit. This time decides to go in the 1v1, uses her technique to get around. And if she can do that out of midfield, that just allows more dangerous numbers to get forward for Lexington.
And we have some substitutions for Lexington SC. Number 16.
Those changes here on this corner. Lexington, something brought to you by Nucor.
And number 2, Hannah White, in for number 36, Kate Doyle.
Some confusion on the procedure of the substitution. It's okay, we haven't had to make subs in about 6 weeks.
Hannah White's excited to get on the field. I like seeing that.
She's excited to make her debut here in Super League. Another one of those college signings out of Georgia. Lexington just raided the SEC basically during the season break.
Well, they had good showings in the fall, the SEC, so it makes sense.
From the corner. Back in toward the traffic and cleared by Vicky Bruce. Moyer. Back to Libby Moore. Played in, and Bruce knocks out for another corner, brought to you by Nucor.
That ball defended over the end line. Another corner kick, Lexington SC. Corner kicks brought to you by Nucor.
Better spell of play this for Lexington. Going to create a decisive possession advantage here in this second half. On the front foot. Seen almost 60% of the ball this second half, Lexington. Low line drive of a corner here. Off that slick surface, created some trouble there at the near post for Jill Aguilera. Number still forward for Lexington. Played into the back post and gathered by McClelland. Almost stumbled into her own net, caught her footing, and can calm things down. Carolina preparing a couple of changes of their own now to counter what we've seen from Lexington. Given away out of the back here by Carolina. And Lexington make them pay. No, it slices wide. Claire Winter on the volley.
Shot is wide. Goal kick, Carolina Ascent.
But I like what Lexington's doing, and with their substitutions coming in, not only is it changing the dynamic of this game, but there's that little bit of competition, getting more playing time, and you can see it. They're hungry right now. They want to make a difference in this game. Vernis also very motivated, going forward, and Claire Winter comes out of her attacking midfield shape for a great opportunity.
Here's Corbin. Could be her final action here. Told she'll be departing momentarily for Catherine Gonzalez. Jada Bedoya, the other player coming on for Riley Parker, and those two changes will happen now. So Corbin will depart after scoring the second goal for Carolina in the 35th minute, giving them this 2-goal advantage that's held up ever since.
And both of these players have had really good performances. I like the partnership that's developing between Corbin and Parker. I think it can be really good as we go throughout this spring season of how they play off each other. But their pressing mentality, they're not able to maybe hold it this entire game. There's two new players coming in with fresh legs that can press Lexington a little higher and see if they can gain a little bit more of the field.
Jada Bedoya had 2 goals in this fall season. Her first pro season out of college. Spent time at UConn in West Virginia. Catherine Gonzalez came over from Denmark before the fall season. 11 appearances, 5 starts. Has herself 10 caps and 5 goals for the Dominican Republic as well. Another one of those women's Gold Cup players here in Super League. Highlighted at halftime. Had 13 players in that first window called up to their respective national teams.
Right after that final whistle blows.
And you can see it right there from Jada Bedoya. They're playing in those front 2 out of the 4-4-2 defensively, and she forces that long pass. It makes it predictable for the center backs to step and win that in that shape. That's something we weren't seeing in this first 20 minutes of the second half defensively from Carolina.
Want a great group outing? The Carolina Ascent FC offers a variety of pregame, halftime, and postgame experiences to take your group outing to the summit of fun. From marching on the pitch with the pros for player intros to post-game photo on the pitch, we can customize a chance of a lifetime experience for your group. Visit carolinaascent.com/groups to lock in an unforgettable match day experience. Shin. Pressure closing in again from Carolina. Well done to play out of it this time by Lexington. It's when they've been able to break this press. They've had some success, but ball over the top lacking and give it away. Players and their legs get tangled. It'll go against Carolina here. There's Bedoya's first involvement. 22-year-old from Massachusetts. All Big East first team and all region third team in her time at UConn before going over to West Virginia. Just over 20 to play here in Charlotte. Happy to have had you with us this evening on Peacock with Casey White. I'm Joe Malfa. Goal scoring started 3 minutes in, the own goal against Lexington. And then 32 minutes later, we had Corbin put in the second. We're at this scoreline now for over a half an hour.
But I do think we're seeing a mentality shift from those subs from Carolina Ascent. With those 2 coming in and pressing a little higher, it's inviting and encouraging the midfield, Taylor Porter to step a little bit higher, Chacoli to step higher, and trying to win balls higher up the field.
Now space for Hannah White, the substitute for Lexington. White cutting at the end line, has bodies in front, feeds it all the way across to the backside. Shot for a handball from the Lexington bench. Winter plays it off. Carolina holds strong. That ball in from White is what really had that attack go by the wayside. Seemed like she had a couple of better options waiting at the 6.
Well, you want to see an aggressive touch on a diagonal to the in line, because that makes all the defenders go back towards the in line, and then you open up so much space to be able to pick out a player. But we saw it earlier with Nicole Vernis. This is her first game. First time she went, she didn't go as aggressively. The second time she did. I think Hannah White will see adapt throughout these last 20 minutes or so and be able to have more opportunities in that final third.
Played through here. Give and go now on the sideline for Carolina. It's picked up by Bedoya. Cutting end line, Bedoya. That Audrey Harding has rotated out wide, and Bedoya is slotted in centrally now. Another substitution brought to you by Nucor. That'll be all for Sarah Tricoli, replaced in the midfield by Giovanna DeMarco.
DeMarco in for number 25, Sarah Tricoli.
Well done, but get off each other!
And I like the insertion of DeMarco here because she's destructive defensively, but she comes from Wake Forest. That was a possession-oriented team, had some time already in the professional game. She's very comfortable in possession, very composed. And for these last 20 minutes or so, that's what Carolina is going to need. They're going to need not only the effort in midfield, but the composure to keep the ball possessed and make Lexington chase as they tick off the time.
Lexington opens up this spring slate with another road game next week at Fort Lauderdale. Carolina home here against DC. As it stands with this score line and the 1-1 elsewhere. Carolina sitting in third, just above the line, and Tampa Bay also will end up above the line as current scores stand here tonight. Lexington down to 7th.
Carolina Ascent fans, your next match returns back to base camp on Sunday, February 23rd, and it is Sunday Fun Day with free kids kit giveaways and a post-game autograph session presented by Novant Health. Visit CarolinaAscent.com.
Shin stands over the free kick. These moments become more and more vital. Later we go, down 2 goals for Lexington. Shin plays it wide. Julie Mackin. A deflection out for a corner. Been dangerous off the corners tonight, Lexington.
And that ball is defended over the end line. Corner kick, Lexington SC, brought to you by Newport.
Mackin. Richardson. Mackin let it run by. Wasted opportunity there off the free kick and then the corner.
And you can't fault Lexington for the urgency. I like the urgency off the corner, but you have an opportunity to play that ball into the penalty area. You got to take it, especially being down 2-0, unless there's something very special you're trying to cook up off the corner. But I think that's a missed opportunity.
Play continues here. Alex Billiter says there's no contact. Necessitating a foul call there. And a corner comes of it. Once again for Lexington. Let's see if they go more direct this time.
The ball defended over the end line. Corner kick, Lexington SC. Corner kicks brought to you by Newport, and taking that kick for Lexington, number 13, Hannah Richardson.
Goal line drive of a corner. They didn't go short like they did the last time, but the result in the end is the same.
Well, they don't have Madison Perez in there, who normally is the player that is serving all the set pieces, the corners, and she has great service. That's where a lot of her assists come from, but very big missed opportunities for a team that's trying to get back in it.
And those are a lot of the little things that really end up driving the coach crazy when all is said and done, because yes, it's 2-0. It is a difficult mountain to climb any way you look at it, but if you're going to have any opportunities, you can't just waste set pieces like that.
But they've done the hard part. They've established more and more possession in the second half. They've got better field position, playing up a little bit higher in the middle third. And then you get the opportunities to have the set pieces, the corner kicks. You want to make the most of them.
You could live with it as a coach if you play a ball in and a header ends up 10 yards over the bar. You got it in there, you had an opportunity, It just didn't work out. But to not even give yourself an opportunity on back-to-back corners, that doesn't sit well. Autumn Weeks, back to Skiba, now Shin. There's been a lot of this tonight for Lexington. Yes, they have a possession advantage. It's up to 55-45, but a lot of it's been back in their own defensive third, and a lot of it has led to giveaways like this.
And talking to Coach Philip Poole, he has said he likes possession. Every team wants the ball, but he wants to be effective in that possession. So the ball advancement and where you win the ball and where you possess is more critically important. And I think we see that displayed here this evening. They want to win the ball higher up the field and then use the possession there to create opportunities.
Well done to keep that ball in by Vicky Bruce. And a corner coming for Carolina.
The ball defended over the end line. Corner kick, Carolina Ascent, brought to you by Newport. And taking the ball for Carolina, number 7, Jill.
remains. Jill Aguilera up for the corner. Carolina have been pretty comfortable in this second half, but for an opportunity or two here or there for Lexington, that third would really put it to bed, allow them to breathe a lot easier. Short again from the corner. Baisden. Back to Aguilera, now first time ball in. Pretty consistent in their approach from the corners, that quick 1-2, and then give Aguilera the better angle.
And if you're going to go short there, that makes sense because there's an opportunity just to change the angle of the service. It makes players step out from Lexington, but there has to be a purpose behind it. I think the Ascent have done well with those.
Overlap, connecting here. Taylor Porter. Corner on the way, brought to you by Nucor. Novan Health is proud to be the official healthcare provider of the Carolina Ascent FC. With same and next day sick visits, Novan Health provides care when and where you need it. Schedule online at novanhealth.org. This is the 6th Nucor corner kick of the night for Carolina. This time she goes direct, Aguilera. Good ball in toward the penalty spot. Glancing header from Bruce. Ends up skipping out to the far sideline. Another ball put in. Works its way through to Bruce. On the turn, some contact there, play on. Kept alive by Carolina. Baisden. Aguilera, where it all started on the corner. Clips it over the top. Two players there. The header down, but saved by Skiba.
And when the Ascent are in their attacking third, they are just going after it, committing a lot of numbers forward. They win the ball back, and they get these second and third chance opportunities, which are really effective. And that takes Lexington out of their rhythm because they were establishing that possession. But when Carolina gets them in this end, it's very difficult for them to get it back.
Away again. Flag stays down. Player back there, Weeks, was keeping everybody on side by about 10 yards. And another corner now.
Another ball defended over the end line. Corner kick, Carolina Ascent. Corner kicks brought to you by Nucor.
7th Nucor corner. Taylor Porter will take this one. For the most part, every corner has actually been on Jill Aguilera's side. So we've gotten used to that service. See what Porter brings from the opposite side. Porter, a good service right into the traffic in the 6, but confident goalkeeping from Skiba to come out and snatch it. Cocoa mugs, fireworks, kids, limited edition jerseys, Stanley-style tumblers, and more. Carolina Ascent has you covered with free merch all season long. Guarantee your favorite giveaways and choose 3 matches and 3 games on your schedule your way. For more information about our 3-game mini plans, visit carolinaascent.com/tickets. Player down is Audrey Harding, slow to her feet.
And there's DeMarco on the ball there. I just like the composure that she brings there into midfield. It's allowing Porter to get up a little bit higher, a little more advanced, playing into the position underneath the forwards when you have DeMarco in there. It helps in the possession and just makes Lexington chase.
Merrick waited for it, just got out to her. Harding looking for that diagonal.
And what's been asked of Harding in this game is a little bit more of a role player, but I really like what she's done. I don't remember her losing the ball in possession very often in this game. She's just very slick on the ball and gets in and out of spaces really well and just kind of slinks around, but she's been great in possession. I really liked her performance here this evening.
The word you said there for a different meaning, slick on the ball. Well, it's been a slick night here because of the rain, and we've seen a lot of giveaways, so that makes it all the more impressive what you were saying, that she hasn't really given it away just like this. Another bad pass back. Chance to make it 3 here for Carolina off the bar. Oh, she couldn't believe it, Catherine Gonzalez. It seemed almost like it hit the underside of the bar, waiting for it to just bounce down and in. She still can't believe it. It just rockets off the bar and out.
I think that would have been one of the goals of this season if that had gone in, because she took that with so much authority. It's a back pass again that she just capitalizes on. Vernus decides to go backwards here, doesn't connect. They're not in a good attacking shape. Libby Moore has to come back, and look at that strike. She sees that Skiba is off her line a little bit, tries to put it right into that upper 90, and she is not far away from putting that right in the corner.
Yeah, I think the problem was she hit the upper 90 flush. I don't know if she hit the crossbar or the post there. She literally hit where the post and the crossbar meet.
I just love that she went for it, because a lot of times you're going to see front runners take an extra few touches, but I love the confidence from her.
Last sub here for Lexington, Grace Wisniewski comes on for Claire Winter. Brought to you by Nucor. Wisniewski played just 95 minutes in her 4 appearances at the tail end of the fall stretch of the season. Had a goal. Libby Moore gives it away. Harding steps to it. Harding blocked. Harding still blocked again. There have been far too many of those instances in this game for Lexington. Part of it is giving credit to Carolina for just keeping that pressure up and staying connected in the way they press and making life difficult. But at some point for Lexington, you have to look in the mirror on some of those giveaways.
100%, and their pressing shape has 6 or 7 people constantly stepping, but Lexington has to be better.
2v2 now for Lexington if they hurry. Over the other way, Richardson took a deflection and it's in! Had McClellan going one way, deflection takes it back the other, and Hannah Richardson brings one back for Lexington.
And sometimes that's just what you need. You cannot score if you don't shoot, so go for it. Hannah Richardson's coming off a game from the fall with 2 goals. She's come in with a lot of energy, and she just decides to go. This ball is played right away, right into the feet of Richardson, as Wisniewski joins her in the attack, 2v2, and not a whole lot in it, but because the deflection happened, she's caught wrong-footed McClellan. It goes back to that near post, and now Lexington has a little bit of life, and Carolina's gonna have to figure out how to settle back in.
Sometimes, again, it's just the way the ball bounces and the luck not being underside or being underside. Back to the first half, there was that similar play the other way where Carolina took a shot like that, but it deflected right into the hands of Bridget Skiba. You and I talked about it then. That's the hardest thing for a goalkeeper when you start your momentum one way. If the ball comes back the other, sure enough in the second half, that's exactly what happens for Carolina on the wrong end of it, and it's a 1-goal game.
And another area where you can give Hannah Richardson a little bit of credit is she keeps it low with the conditions the way they are. If that shot with any kind of air behind it, you don't get that skip.
Now Hannah White, can they double up in rapid succession? Confidence now brimming for Lexington. 7 minutes plus stoppage time to go. And Carolina grew some of the chances they did not put away in this second half. Rolled through to Richardson again. Richardson tries to force her way through. It ends up for White and cleared.
And this is where the veteran presence of a Jenna Butler, a Vicky Bruce has to come into play. You have to rebound from this, settle everyone around you and say, it's okay, we're still in control. We still have the lead, so we don't need to be chasing. We need to find our defensive shape and be composed on the ball.
Offside flag comes up here on Lexington. The inaugural USL Super League season has officially begun and into the spring slate now. Visit USLSuperLeague.com for all of the latest information, analysis, and insight into all things Super League. one suddenly becomes a lot more interesting now in a one-goal game. Bruce tries to clear, and oh, look out. Collision of the heads there. Yellow card shown immediately to Shea Moyer coming through and initiating the contact.
And Shea Moyer just gives everything to this right now, and stationary it's Giovanna DeMarco, not knowing that Shea Moyer is coming with that type of momentum in the moment.
Has been issued to Lexington FC, and all yellow cards brought
to you by Apollo Law.
Entertainment Law Group. That yellow card shown to number 25, Shea Moyer.
Quick on-field concussion check here to make sure. Have to after a collision like that. This second half, expected goals are on the side of Carolina. Shots are 7-3, and shots on target are 2-1 in favor of Carolina. Fortune, though, on the side of Lexington with that deflection just moments ago to bring it to 2-1. Some doubt cast over the result now after it had been cruising at 2-0. Chance to restore the two-goal lead here for Carolina, blocked. And remember, Carolina had ample opportunity within that to make it 3 or 4 and just didn't capitalize.
I think for both of these teams, the substitutions have come in at really good times and brought a different type of energy, a different type of look, and it's worked for both teams respectively, what the coaches have done with those insertions.
Jones, throw for Lexington. Score went final elsewhere. Dallas, Tampa Bay 1-1 it finished. Minutes to go, plus stoppage time. Again, Lexington trying to create something here down the right wing. Played in, snatched by McClellan.
And in these moments right here, I'd like to see the outside backs of Lexington get a little bit higher. You have nothing to lose right now. You might as well step and press a little bit more in the final minutes. So Jones, Mackin, just getting higher positioning, whether it's pressing, whether it's attacking, just to make Carolina a little bit more uncomfortable.
Mackin floats it over the top here. Richardson latching on. Richardson closing in. Richardson saved by McClellan.
And you could tell that Richardson was looking to play that ball across, but the recovery run from the Ascent defenders was really good. They were actually outnumbering the attackers in the penalty area. I'd like to see that shot go across frame to the far post. I think it's a goal if that happens, because there's so much of the goal open on the opportunity.
Newcore corner, whipped in. 90 seconds remaining in the 90 minutes.
And another corner kick, Lexington SC, brought to you by Newcore. Taking the corner kick, number 13, Hannah Richardson.
Richardson from the corner. Header backwards here by Carolina. That was their issue in the first half, remember, on that big opportunity for Maddie Parsons. It's twice now that's happened. Where the clearing header's gone the wrong way, back into the danger. And Carolina put this one away on some sort of counter here late. Harding. Well, the number is going to be coming forward now for Lexington. Also can see a lot of this for Carolina, just taking their time. That's not what you want to see if you're the Ascent. Rolled back the other way for Lexington after the giveaway. Carolina fortunate, and it was a misplay. McClellan taking a little too much time there for the fans liking some hearts and throats. Took a deflection, but still got to the intended target.
Well, I love the confidence of playing back to your goalkeeper in that moment, but at this point in the game, I think the safety piece becomes very, very important.
Lexington throw. Stoppage time about to be revealed to these players. And stoppage time is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Stoppage time presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield.
5 minutes tacked on. Carolina lost its last 3 games of the fall slate after opening up unbeaten in 11, albeit at 6 draws and 5 wins, which suppressed their spot in the standings because of all the draws. Played over the top here to White. She's offside. Can they get back on track? Lost their last 3. Had the break. Comparatively minimal in terms of their roster additions compared to some of the other teams in the league, even just looking across at Lexington. They were confident in the team they started the season with, confident in carrying that over with a few tweaks here or there into the spring slate.
Not only have had some good results, a good spot in the standings going into the spring, and so they're just like little minor tweaks here and there that you go, okay, how can we bolster our roster? How can we provide even more depth to our roster to go throughout the entirety of a full year of a season, which is a long season?
Nobody who started today for Carolina just added to the league during the break. A player who was added to the roster during the break being Riley Parker, but came over from Tampa Bay, so had been in the league already. And even among their bench players, there was nobody suited up today for Carolina who was acquired during the season break. Total opposite for Lexington as the offside flag comes up. They had 4 new faces in the starting 11 that they just signed during the winter break. And Hannah White, who subbed in, so 5 total players. For Lexington, a lot of new faces and gelling. Going to be the theme of things here these first couple of weeks of the spring slate. Carolina just reigniting that unbeaten run that they started the season on. And they're a few minutes away from doing that with a victory. It's going to drift out of play. Going to go back to Lexington, but it'll take more time off the clock.
And again, that's Harding that's able to secure possession. She just likes to recycle play and keeps just a calmness about this Ascent attack, which I think is very critical in general, but has been critical this evening as well.
$120 more seconds, give or take, to navigate. The weather has not been kind tonight. These players have gritted through it for 90. We mentioned it top of the broadcast. It was 40 degrees with a 96% humidity. Thick, sticky air, and that quickly shifted into skies opening up for large stretches of this game. Still in the cold, sub 40-degree temperatures here in Charlotte. Not easy to navigate the elements tonight. In some ways has impacted this game. We've seen a lot of those giveaways. We've seen some balls over the top that you would have thought for the Lexington side, especially with Kate Doyle trying to latch on their new acquisition, would have amounted to breakaways or scoring opportunities, but that extra skip ended up taking it out of the equation.
And that's why you have to put a little bit different direction on the ball. It can't be straight when you have those kind of conditions. It's got to be diagonal, it's got to have texture, it's got to have backspin, and just hard to navigate in these kind of weather conditions.
Through it all, these teams have played to a 2-1 scoreline with a minute remaining. Carolina preparing 2 changes here at the end if they can get them in. Rolled ahead to Richardson, flag stays down. Richardson centering, loose in front, keeper McClellan's down, gets back to her feet now. Scramble, and Carolina able to clear. Those 2 subs will be helpful here, as it more than anything else just gives them a chance to catch their breath. It It'll be Riley Baisden coming off, as well as Andrea Harding. Stella Spitzer, B. Hilton coming on. Brief cameos here for Hilton, Spitzer. What could very well be the last play of the game here. Almost curious as to why, if you're Philip Poole.
Yeah, it looked like they were over there for a while, trying to get in for a couple minutes at least, maybe to provide some energy. And you've got some youth there coming into the game, especially Spitzer at 14 years old. But I don't know, last plays of games, you have to be really locked in.
It's an interesting time. You always talk about not wanting to sub on defensive set pieces. Not necessarily a set piece there, but within range to have a quick throw and a service. But fortunately for Carolina, nothing comes of it for Lexington, especially as you mentioned, to bring on two players that young, that inexperienced, for two of your more experienced players. Poole might have to answer some questions about that if it would have gone awry, but
well,
fortunately
so often
for him, it did not.
Late goals with someone who has a ton of energy coming in and maybe it working against them. But these two, he knows his players, and these two coming into the game probably are serving a role and getting some of the players that have played so many minutes off the field.
1 minute past the 5 that were given. There's still something late in this for Lexington. Along the sideline, played in. McClellan has it. That should do it. All eyes on Alex Billiter now. Carolina hasn't picked up a victory since November 3rd. A first half of the season that saw 6 draws, that saw 3 straight losses to end it. And here on February 15th, after the winter break, it looks like they will begin their spring slate with a victory for the first time since November 3rd. Ball is very far away from their own goal. The only question now seems to be if they can add a 3rd goal, with this being allowed to continue. And there is the final whistle. Carolina Ascent start the second half of the season with a victory over Lexington. It is Mia Corbin who ends up with the winning goal back in the 35th minute on a cold, rainy night. They navigate the turmoil late and hold on for the 3 points.
Well, when you have a little bit of a slide like they did to end the fall, it's a lot of time to think about it, a lot of time to work on things. They'll be very happy, very relieved to start off the spring with this win.
Especially considering the way things ended and now how they can climb one more spot in the standings. And it didn't happen by accident here in this game. Megan McClellan didn't have to do a ton in goal, but the save of the match presented by Train Tech kept it 2-1, where it very easily could have been 2-2 just moments after Lexington scored their first.
Anna Richardson was a handful in the second half, but McClellan comes up big. It is often very hard to make this save at the near post, especially when a striker goes high. You think they're going to go far post. She goes near, she puts it around the post, and that's what helps them secure the win.
Take a look now at your play of the match. It turned out to be the match-winning goal, brought to you by Plaza Appliance Mart. Mia Corbin in the 35th minute.
This goal had everything. Yes, it had the finish off of Mia Corbin's foot, but the give and go, the underlapping run from Merrick, the cutback ball, the separation. It was just a great play, and it proved to be the game winner.
And of course, with all of that being said, your player of the match, brought to you by Nucor, is Mia Corbin, her 4th goal of the season. The winning goal there in the 35th minute ends up getting the job done here for Carolina. 3 big points to begin the spring slate of the season, celebrating here in front of their fans. And we are joined now by Vicky Bruce as well. Vicky, it's Joe Malfa, Casey White up in the booth. Your team is celebrating. It's rainy and cold. We don't want to keep you for too long, but after that winter break, to come out of it and fight through the weather here and pick up a victory, what's it mean to the group?
Oh, it means everything. You know, we didn't end the first half of the season the way we wanted to, so now we worked really hard over break, fixed all the things that we needed to focus on, and now we've come back. We've showed everyone not to give up on us. We're here to win. We're here to continue to fight and make some things happen, shake some things up the second half of the season.
And Vicky, as a leader with this group, how can you use this win as a springboard to go into your next few games?
Yeah, you know, everything is all about momentum. So, you know, you're only as good as your last game, and we're all just fighting every single day at training, making it competitive, making sure, you know, everyone's on their toes, everyone's giving it their all. And yeah, we're just going to compete.
Vicky, go put a jacket on. We appreciate you taking the time. Congrats on the win.
Of course, thank you.
And Vicky Bruce, the big leader of this Carolina team, helping navigate what was a difficult final 15 minutes here. 2-1 victory for Carolina. Back to wrap it all up in just a moment from Charlotte.
Yes, you're lovely, with your smile so warm, and your cheeks so soft. There is nothing for me but to love you, and the way you look tonight.
We learned during commercial that Mother Nature, despite the rain and cold tonight, was actually kind. The hardest of the rain has started coming down now after the game, and your final score, 2-1 Carolina over Lexington, brought to you by UNC Charlotte. These players are kind enough to keep signing these autographs despite the elements, as we take a look at the highlights from this one, brought to you by Nucor. This is where it started again. 3 minutes in, the own goal against Lexington gives Carolina the lead.
Yeah, no pressure really on Perez here. Miscommunication with Skiba. It goes in. Just an unfortunate way to start, especially 3 minutes in the game. This is not what you want to see if you're the away team.
They responded really well, though, to this for the first half hour. They were a better team, had the better of the opportunities, and then something flipped. Mia Corbin started finding the dangerous areas, and eventually the goal in the 35th.
The outside backs coming forward started to be fruitful, and this time it was Merrick making the underlapping run and finding Mia Corbin for this finish. Courtney Jones does try to clear it out for Lexington. She's just not able to get her foot around it.
And then got dramatic late. You didn't really think it was going to go that way, the way Carolina was just sort of cruising along in the second half. But the substitute, Hannah Richardson, made things interesting.
It was very interesting, and Hannah Richardson going to the outside. Jenna Butler lets her come back inside on her left foot, so it gives her an angle. It takes a deflection, and McClellan's leaning just enough to her right, not able to get back to the left. And this made it interesting for the final 8 minutes and change.
It did finish, though, with that 2-1 scoreline. As we take a look at your full-time stats brought to you by Nucor. Everything really statistically went Carolina's way except the possession. Part of that was just Lexington pressing down 2-0 already.
A lot of that possession was in their defensive final third. They had trouble advancing it. They were eventually able to get more corners, evening that out with 7-7 with the Ascent.
We're back, everybody. Super League into the spring slate of the season next week. It's Lexington at Fort Lauderdale in Carolina, home against DC, trying to keep the winning ways going after tonight. 2-1 the final over Lexington. For the crew that makes this possible, broadcast partner Casey White, I'm Joe Malpa saying so long for now. Once again, your final score brought to you by UNC Charlotte. Carolina 2, Lexington 1. Good night, everybody.